discussing about the course syllabus. Today we will start with an actual, we will today, our agenda is to learn about AWS. Let me just make it 3. So the agenda is going to be number 1, logging into AWS. So there can be 2 ways you can do it. One is the root login, and the other is a IAM login. So I'll discuss about IAM, root versus IAM, which one you should use, when to use and when not to use. And apart from that, I'll discuss about AWS infrastructure, actually, how it works. Infrastructure in terms of the cloud platform, how it actually works in the background. And we need to keep that in mind because there are concepts of regions, and then there will be VPC, subnet, availability zone. So all of that I will discuss today. So let's deal with this AWS thing first. So before that, I'm using a virtual machine here. And if I show you the properties here, this is not my actual desktop. So this is, it's a very ordinary system, 3 GB of RAM, and it's a 64-bit operating system. It's x64 based. Okay. So later on, this will come into picture, and I'm using Windows 10 Pro. And the build is 22H2. So every software has got a build and then a particular version number. So this one is 22H2. The idea here in showing you this was, most of you would be probably using Windows 11 in your system. That because Windows 11 Home. Like if it is a relatively new laptop, then that is what actually comes bundled with majority of the laptop brands. There will be tools that I will be using. A few of them I'll have to use, install in my local system, but the rest of it will be on cloud. So whatever you're going to install on cloud, it will be either you're going to access it via the browser. So for example, now I'm going to access the AWS console. So just search for AWS services, aws.amazon.com. Right. So I'm not going to click on this button, create an AWS account. So for that, I've already shared the resource yesterday, how to create an account. I already have an account. So I'm just going to click on log back in. Actually, or you can also click on sign in. This is the first time on this system I'm actually going to log into my AWS account. So when you try to log in, you will have these 2 options. This is fairly important to discuss this part here now. So if you check this is actually really important. This is one way of logging in. And the other one, there are 2 radio buttons. One is root user and one is IAM user. IAM actually stands for Identity Access Management. So IAM is a service in AWS, but apart from that, it is a general concept. It is not restricted only to AWS. All other systems, all modern to prevent hacking, and as a part of a security feature, and to give access on a need to access basis, this concept of IAM is used. So for the first time, when you, so your root, if you have not yet created an account, you need to make sure that for the first time when you log in, you will have to log in as a root user. So there are two things that you will require there. The email that you used for registering, that will be your login ID and the password for it. Okay, whatever password you had set. This is what will be required for the root user login. So let me show you how it looks like. Let me log into the, so in the root user, now I'm going to use the root user email. Give me a second. So I'll click on next here, and then it is asking for a password. So let me give that password. And let's sign in. So now I'm getting something called a multi-factor authentication code. I'll discuss about this, but let me first sign in. So what is happening now, this I cannot show you on the screen because this is happening on my cell phone. It is going to actually, I'm logging into that app and I'm going to, it has generated a code, a 6-digit code, which will be valid only for 30 seconds. And without this, it won't allow me to log in. Okay. So a root user should always be secured using multi-factor authentication. So what actually happened now is, let me see if I can open the document directly. So for people who are maybe not aware of it, I have already shared that document for AWS account creation. This is the document I'm talking about. In the last 3 days, I've discussed extensively what our course is about. So assuming you have already, so these are the steps for creating the account. I'm not getting into this now. What I'm interested is once you have successfully signed up. So from here, I'm starting. So you log in. So this one I've done. I've given my email address and then clicked on next, and then the password. There might be a security check that comes up. Okay. You might get a CAPTCHA. This time I did not get a CAPTCHA, but you might get it. Now, once I have done that, so these screenshots that you are seeing here, these are when the multi-factor authentication, MFA. Okay, so let me change the color. So I'm talking about MFA. This is a way to secure your account so that even if by chance somebody has stolen your password or got access to your password, they will still not be able to log in unless they generate that code. Okay, so this is multi-factor authentication. So this is a scenario where I am yet to generate a multi-factor authentication. That is what it looks like. So once you log in, this is what your dashboard will look like. And then you have got a bouquet of services here, multiple services. There are literally hundreds of services. And here they have sort of clubbed it. So if I click on the compute group, so you have got all these services. So most of the times you'll be using the EC2 service here. But that is something different. We'll get into that later on. What we are interested in is if you are searching for any particular service, so IAM is something that you will always be able to access. With root login, you will be able to access all the services. You can literally do anything. So I actually have got it locally bookmarked. Okay. And if you have recently visited those pages, they will also show up in the recently visited panel here. But in case it is not showing up, just search for IAM. Okay, this is the place from where so IAM identity center is different. So I'm looking only for IAM. So if I get into IAM here, this would be your identity access management and access management dashboard. So here you have got these ticks, check marks. Okay. So make sure these are green. For new users, it will not be, all of them will not be green. Here, this part for new users, for the first time login, this will be actually crossed out. Okay, you have to rectify this part. So how do you do that? By registering this account with a MFA device. Okay, so we will not be using our root account for day-to-day tasks at all. That is not advisable. So what we are going to do instead is, the steps are pretty simple. You log into your root account. Anyways, for the first time, you will not have any other option. Okay, so log into your root account. So here I'm actually talking about AWS, by the way. Do not confuse this root with Linux. So log into your AWS root account, then register the account with multi-factor authentication. MFA stands for multi-factor authentication. So for doing this, now you will need a smartphone. Okay, it can be done in two ways, one or more ways. Either you need a physical device for multi-factor authentication. Either you need an actual physical device, or you can use a virtual device. So when you are going to use your smartphone, that is going to be your virtual device. Now, so once you have done this, after that, log out of root account. No, sorry, not log out. We will create a new IAM account. Okay, then log out of root. And then log in using the new IAM account. So we will be doing this stuff now. Okay, so these are the basic steps. So this is what we are going to go through. So now my account has already been registered with a multi-factor authentication. And anyways, I cannot show you those screenshots because they are happening on a different device. Now, but in the document here, it is actually shown. So initially, your root account, once you log in, that will not have this. Oops. Okay, this seems to be the end of the document here. So, okay, so this is restricted only with the successful login. So I think it will be in this page, IAM. So here, I'll share this document later on. This is the thing that you need to focus on the screenshots more here now. Rest of the thing I'll explain on the fly. So this IAM user, we will log in separately. During that time, you can't use the email anymore. For that, you will need the account. So we will cross that bridge when it comes. So now I'm talking about multi-factor authentication. So this is in combination with the password also. So how it works is, so either you are going to use some kind of physical device, something like this, either a RSA device. So if you see, there is a screen here and it is generating the token here. Okay. Or else the device needs to be plugged into your system in one of your USB, normal USB or USB-C ports. Okay. And apart from that, if you see, there is this golden part here. So this is from the YubiKey company. This is one of the physical devices. So unless this device is physically plugged into the system where you are logging in to your AWS account, you will not be able to log in. So when you work in business organizations, you will get this kind of key. Apart from that, so if you see this golden part here, that is actually a touch screen. Okay, and I don't know if it is visible here or not, but here, this one is a USB-C type connection. So on the right side here, there is a small golden touch screen. So the idea is whenever you are logging in, you also have to touch that part if it is a more advanced device. So that is basically similar to your fingerprint authentication, just like you do on your cell phone. You have to touch it with your fingers. Okay. So these are physical devices. So this is something that you will get in when you work in an organization. Okay, it needs to be plugged in, and you need to provide this code at the same time. But we can do it in a different way. You can also use a virtual device. So virtual device is nothing, but you have to install an app, something like Google Authenticator. So in this example, there are multiple options here. You can use Google Authenticator. You can use Microsoft Authenticator. But the thing is, all of them are available in whatever smartphone you are using. So hopefully you're not using a very old smartphone. The application should be installable. So they work on all Android, iPhone, even BlackBerry devices. They go as far as back. Okay, so use Google Authenticator. This is no endorsement in any way. This is something which is fairly used quite often. It is quite secure. So go through the installation process. That will be similar to what you see in your cell phone. The thing is, when this is once it is installed, you can't even actually take a screenshot during that time on the phone. It does not allow that. Okay, that is the reason why I will not be able to show you. So whatever, so it will work. So I'm focusing on Google Authenticator here. There are various apps. If you want to install something else, it will digress a bit from the course, but it will work. All of them work. Microsoft, but don't use any software which you are not aware of. Google Authenticator is quite secure. I have been using this. I never faced any issue with this security wise. So this is going to be so here basically what will happen is when you generate, I will show you. I mean, like the screenshots are there in this document itself. So once you have installed this, you will get something like this for the first time. So there might be a little bit of deviation from the screenshots which are present here now because apps keep getting updated. So, but overall, there will be a window where for the first time when you log into your Google, this is happening on your cell phone, by the way, not on your computer. So you will need your cell phone where you have smartphone rather, where you have this thing installed. You will need to scan a QR code. Okay. So this QR code is something that will be generated in your AWS account. Okay. So get into this part here, IAM, and then in the drop down section here, actually there is security credentials. Sorry. So this one you will get here. So you can do it. There are multiple ways of doing it, but here they are asking to go into the security credentials part. Okay. So once you click on that, this is your, so this name will be whatever you're using during the logging sign up session, whatever you have used, that name will be displaying here. So Rakesh is asking, do you have to log in with the same root user account on the Authenticator app? So that's what I'm actually explaining now. When you are going to log into the Authenticator app, before that, you have to get into the account. I will share this document and you will have to follow these screens shots here. So once you log into the security, so basically when you go to security credentials, again, you will go back to the IAM dashboard only. Okay. And here you will find something like this. Okay, I can't expand it anymore, but there will be a drop-down option for multi-factor authentication. Using your phone, okay, you will have to scan a particular QR code. That QR code, so see, this is the option in the phone that this is on your smartphone. Here you have to scan the QR code. Okay. So this is the screenshot once you have installed Google Authenticator. Now, so now you come back to your computer here, log in using your root account, go to this. I will share this document later on, and there you will see inside security credentials at the top right corner, whatever account you have, go into that and select multi-factor authentication. And then you have to activate this MFA, multi-factor authentication. Click on this part, and then, so again, as I told you, there can be multiple devices that you can use. So because you are using an app to authenticate yourselves, that is the reason why it is going to be virtual. You have to choose virtual MFA. Otherwise, you will need a physical device like a YubiKey or RSA token, which has to be plugged into. So we are not using the physical device. That is what these two options are for. Okay, so Fati and YubiKey, these are the companies that produce this. So all of them are equally secure. There is no problem. And this is something that you have to actually separately purchase as a hardware. So you already have the hardware. That is your smartphone. So this is good enough for us to use. So choose this virtual MFA device option as a radio button and then click on continue. Now it will come up with this kind of box here where it will show you this option, show QR code. Initially, it will be hidden. Okay. So this QR code is very sensitive, obviously. This is what the application, the Google Authenticator application on your cell phone is using your camera is going to scan. So once you click on this show QR code, there will be a QR code here inside this box. Okay. So I have hidden it obviously for the security of my account, but there is a QR code hidden behind this. This is a unique code which is directly mapped to your AWS account. Okay. And not only that, just like your root AWS account, you have, so using the root account, I'm going to show that you can create other IAM accounts, child accounts. There is always only one root account. You cannot have multiple root accounts. But using one root account, you can create multiple IAM accounts. And using those IAM accounts, you can create other IAM accounts also. And they can also have their separate multi-factor authentications. So this QR code that is going to get generated, this will be only for the root account. Okay. If you want to secure other accounts, you will have to go through the same process again by logging into their individual security credentials from the dashboard once you log in. So we have not yet done that. We have not yet done the IAM login. We will create one user first and then. So on your phone, using your phone camera, this is happening on your laptop, this part. Generate the QR code and then scan it using the app. Okay. I've tried to make it as much as detailed as possible. So this is again on your cell phone. So click on this button using your phone, click on scan the QR code. And then once it is successful, it will come up with this. So as you can see, the app even does not let me take a screenshot of the phone because it is a secure app. So that is why I had to use a separate phone to grab this screenshot to prepare this document. So once you do this, you will get something like this. If your name is hidden here, so it is saying root, right? So just change like from the portrait mode, go into landscape mode if you're not able to read that entire thing. Because when you have multiple accounts, you will get confused, like which one do I need to click on? And then just click on add account. This is on your phone, obviously. As you can see, it is Google Authenticator. And then, so once you have added the account, every 30 seconds, this is a timer. Every 30 seconds, you will keep getting a new code. So do we have to do this in a virtual machine or we can do without VM? No, you can do. So I am using a virtual machine because I don't want to mess up my laptop. I deal with multiple projects, multiple batches. So each project I have to show you things from the scratch. Okay, so in this system, there is nothing installed. There is nothing installed here. So if I try to use my original laptop, then there are already softwares and packages which are installed there. So you will not be able to see those screens. So for training purpose, we always use. So this is for training purpose. If you want to use a virtual machine, that is fine. You can download Oracle VirtualBox, but then you will need a licensed operating system. Okay, not for Linux, but for Windows. That is up to you. Okay, so moving forward with this thing. Now, for the first time, this will happen only for the first time when you're registering a MFA account. So in the mobile phone, in the cell phone, it has added up your account. But now you need to check your desktop screen. Okay, so this is going to happen only once, by the way. Only for the first time, this code that is getting generated every 30 seconds, it will keep changing. So this part, you will have to be a little bit careful. Only once it will ask you to type 2 consecutive MFA codes from the cell phone. Okay, so this part is a little bit tricky here. You have to use the codes which come immediately one after the other. Okay, so that means this code 231034, once I put this code, within 30 seconds, immediately, this was the next code that came up, 489226. You cannot skip the second code. If you skip the second code, if you miss it out, then again, you will have to do it like you will have to move that code up. Okay, this will happen only once. Once AWS also acknowledges that the application is authentic, is a genuine one, then later on when you are logging in, it will ask for the MFA code only once, as you had seen earlier on the screen initially. So you have to put those 2 codes, as I mentioned, this will be consecutive. Okay, once this timer goes down, again a new code comes up, that immediately that code you have to put in as the second code. Do not skip it. Okay, otherwise you will have to do it from scratch again, this part. And then just click on assign MFA, and then you should get a successful message like this. Okay. I believe you will be able to do this part. I will share this document later on. And you will get a success message. And your root login will show something like this with the ARN value. And then a particular ID will be there, which I've hidden here for the security of my account. Now, obviously, when you log into your AWS account, after you have done the MFA setup, so just check it, of course, by logging out and then logging in again. So this one I just now showed you, like put in your email, registered email as this is happening in the root user. Put in the password and then enter the MFA. So this one is generated on your cell phone now using Google Authenticator. And then you will successfully log into your AWS account. Once you have done this, then you should get this kind of screen. Before that, this part will be red. Root user has MFA. So we will learn about access keys later on. So access keys in short are, simply put, they are like when a human user is accessing the system, accessing a software, they will use credentials like username, password, and such. But there are times when a separate software system also needs to access a software. Okay. So for example, this is going to be something that we will learn later. So Terraform is going to be a provisioning tool that we will use later on. Okay. So this is going to be a provisioning tool. So it's a software basically. And using this software, what you can do is this will be installed in your local system, by the way, not on cloud. So this is a software, and using this, you will need to come, so Terraform will be accessing the AWS console, the same console that I'm using now here, this one. Okay. Obviously not the root account. So it will, once it has got access to the console, then it can create the AWS resources, like a database or a EC2 instance or a Lambda function, whatever AWS provides. Okay, so when so AWS console, this is another software. So whenever a software is communicating, so this will be through code. Obviously, you're going to write code here. So whenever this happens, this is happening in the one software is communicating with another software. So this software needs to authenticate itself. And in this kind of scenario, you do not use username and password kind of stuff. So that is where we use something called access keys. We will learn that later on, but in short, this is the idea. Now, why I am emphasizing this is it is a big time no. Never do this. In your root account, using your root account, never create access keys. Okay, so oops. For access keys, never use root account. So that is the reason why when you log in to this IAM dashboard in your root account, I'm logged in as root account here. So this part should be green. Okay, root, these two things, this is how you secure your account. So in case your user ID, which is going for logging into your root account in AWS, in case the ID and the password has been compromised, without, if it is, the first thing that you should have done is registered the MFA. So if that MFA is there, without that token, which will be on your smartphone, still people know the hacker will not be able to log in. Okay, so there is a question I can see on the chat panel. MFA is applicable only for root user? No, MFA can be used for all account logins, or the same steps, same screenshot you will get. But if you want to create an MFA, so you cannot, for a different account, you cannot create the MFA from the root account. You have to log into that account and then go into the IAM dashboard and then do the MFA registration. So this part, I'm emphasizing, never. So we will create access keys later on, but we will create them using the IAM account. And these two things should always be green ticked in your AWS root account, so that your account, even if it is compromised, the username and password, they will not be able to use it. Like the root account access, they will never have. Okay, this is really, really important to secure your AWS account. It is part of the DevSecOps part here. Now, any questions here? You might want to unmute, or if you have any questions, kindly put it on chat if you are not able to unmute. Are we good?
I do have
Yes.
one question over here.
Yes,
like
yes.
IAM user, do they have some sort of like restriction over that usage of this cloud account, or how they are different from the root user?
The IAM accounts, I will actually show how to create an IAM account now. So yeah, there will be restrictions. See, a root account can do anything. Okay. There will be, root account is a boss account. You can literally, it will have unrestricted access to all the AWS services. There will be no restriction. But the whole point of creating an IAM account is so that you can create users, and depending on their job role in the organization, because whatever resources you are going to use here. So for example, if I go into services and then there is blockchain, there is analytics. So if I go to blockchain, then again, you have got this separate Amazon managed blockchain service. When you go to compute, you have got these various other services. So there is database services. So whichever service you are using, forget about the concept of free tier. That is something that AWS is giving now, so that people, it wants to promote its services. But company accounts will never be using free tier accounts. Okay, that is meant mainly for maybe sandbox testing or for students and users who want to learn AWS. So whatever resources you are going to create in AWS, they are all going to be chargeable. Maybe that is on a per GB basis, per transaction basis, input output basis, or maybe compute hours, how many hours you have used. So there are various methods it is charged. And the charges vary depending on the region, depending on the kind of resource. Okay. So that is the reason why you will always want to restrict the access level of users. You will give access. I will show that now. How you can manage that access. You will give access only to the extent that is required by the user. Okay. If a user, you will not give all the access to the users. So that is why you are going to create the first IAM user using root account and then log out of root and then only use the IAM user for your day-to-day tasks. I'm not going to log into this root account anymore to do for the remainder of the course. I mean, like related to creating and managing my AWS resources, like EC2 instances and stuff. Okay, so let's see how we can create a user. So in the IAM dashboard, this is again the root account. Go to users here. And then there are multiple users which are there already. So I will click on create user. Right, I'll give it a name here. So I'll call it something like with the project name. And so the first IAM user that you want to create should be a admin account. So just giving the name admin does not make it admin. You have to attach certain security policies to it. And only then it will become an admin account. Otherwise, by default, whenever you create an IAM account, it will have only one feature. And that feature will be, that user can log in with some password and be able to use that only to change the password. Apart from that, no other service will be active. So I'm going to use this name. And there is one option here, provide user access, the AWS management console. So yeah, I will be, the idea here is I will be using this IAM account in future for my day-to-day tasks. So obviously, when they talk about AWS management console, it is this window they are talking about. Okay, this graphical user interface where you can actually open it in a browser. So yes, make sure you check this box. Okay, otherwise it will be programmatic access. You will be able to access only through command line interface. You don't want that. So check this box, and so identity center is a different thing. You will want to choose this. I want to create an IAM user. Okay. As part of this course, this is what you need to do. So let me grab a screenshot here. Later on, you can refer to this. Okay. These are the options that you need to select. So focus on these parts here. Oops. The username, this checkbox, and this radio button. 1, 2, 3. Moving on. So either I can use a auto-generated password or, okay. So let it create an auto-generated password. And if you check this box, then you will actually force the user to create a new password. So right now, I will not do that. I will change the password later on. I'm happy using the auto-generated password here. So I'll click on next. Now this is the part where you are defining the permission level, to what level the user should be able to, what level access the user will have. Okay. So this is a single user. So choose this option, attach policies directly. When you click on this radio button, you will have these. So there are nearly 1,187 policies. So what is a Amazon AWS policy? It is basically how you define the level of access. Okay, to what level the user will be able to, can the user create resources or a certain type of resources, or change those resources, delete them, or maybe they only want to be able to read they should only be able to view it. Okay, unless these policies are attached. So here, this is, I need administrator access for my, so this is the access you are interested in, administrator access. So whatever, so 99% of the tasks that the root user can do, more or less, if you attach this policy, administrator access. So again, this access I'm giving to the new user, which I am creating. I'm still in the creation process here. I have not yet created the user. So you have to attach this policy, administrator access. Okay. So now just scroll down and click on next. So this is the name of my user. The password will be auto-generated, and yeah, okay, we are good. So I'm just going to create the user. And this screen will come up only once. You have got your login. So this is the IAM login link. Okay. But then you can log in. So I'll actually, so you will not get this screen anymore. But what you can do is, there is an option to download a .csv file. CSV is called comma separated value. It is a format. Okay. So if you have any application in your system which can open spreadsheets like Excel, Microsoft Excel, or maybe Google Doc, Google Sheets, or Open LibreOffice, then so this, you will not get this option anymore. Okay. The only other option will be to reset the password. Okay. So this is something you will get only once. So during this time, you might want to copy it, and for future use, you can download this CSV file, and in your download folders, it will get stored. Okay. So this one will have all these three details. So you might want to keep that, of course. Right. So what I'm going to do is, for the time being, and here you have got these options here, these tiny squares. So if you just click on it, it will automatically copy this thing. You don't try to do this in AWS, like dragging the mouse and highlighting and then trying to copy. No, don't do that. In AWS, whenever you see this checkbox, these boxes here, it's not a checkbox. It's kind of a link where it will copy that entire thing. Whatever you are seeing, it will copy only that part. So what I'm doing is, now I'm going to store that locally, because I will be needing that later on. Because I'm going to log out of the root account now. Once I've stored this. So this user actually has been created now. So obviously, for security reasons, I'm not going to display the password. And let us return to users list. This account has been created. So as you can see, now this B88 admin, this user exists now. So what I'm going to do now is click on the drop down and sign out. Okay. Make sure you always sign out of your accounts. Don't just close the browser tab. Okay. Although it takes care of it in the background, but it is not a good idea. Always click on the login, your AWS account. Yeah, so Rakesh, you're asking if you can. So I said you cannot retrieve that anymore. You will have, the only way is to reset the password. So for that, again, you will have to log into your root account. In case you have forgotten the root user password also, then you will have to contact the AWS help desk. Okay, so please do not forget it. And for resetting also, like, you are going to use a certain email. Now, what I will suggest to the new learners here is, before you start anything, create a email. That can be any email. Okay, create an email for your learning purpose only. Okay, this because AWS is not the only service that you will be registering with. So use that same email for register. You will use that same email for registering with AWS, with GitHub, with Docker, okay, and multiple other softwares whichever come into picture here. Okay, so in case, for example, like somebody just now asked if they are not able to get the password for the account, then you will have to send an email to AWS, and that email, when you send the email, it should be that same email which you have used to create the AWS account, because that will be, so obviously here I'm assuming that you should definitely have the access to that email. Don't forget the password for the email. Otherwise this will going to be a domino effect. Okay. So create one email and use that for your study purpose. That will be do not, I will advise you not to use your personal email for this DevOps related course and for your technical training. Better keep that email separate. Right. So now what I'm going to do is I've got two options. Either I'll click on sign into console or log back in anyway. So it will try to remember the root user thing, which I did earlier, but this time I'm not going to do the root user thing. I'm going to choose the IAM user. Now, so when you are going to log in as an IAM user, the email will no longer be valid here. Okay. So this is a common mistake new AWS account users do. So here it is going to ask for the account ID. Okay. So that account ID was actually at the top right corner. It will always show. Okay. So I have my account ID now. So I'll just put it in. And here, oh no. So here now it is, so the email, whenever you use the IAM account, your email is never going to be used. Okay. Remember that. So here you have to use the username which you created using the root account. So the IAM username for me was something like this. Okay. And then of course the password, which I had saved earlier. So by default, the browser is sort of saving my password. Hang on. Oops. So this is not the password. And I will check this box because I'm going to use it quite frequently. And then I will click on sign in. This is how you log into a IAM account. Logging into IAM account is different from logging into your root account. Okay. And as far as that account ID is considered, so whenever you log in with as you can see here, whenever you log in using the IAM account, the first part will be the username at this 12-digit number. Okay, this is your account ID here. Okay, so you can click on this drop down and you can check this is your account ID. It will be a 12-digit ID number, pure number. That is how you create an IAM user. So whatever I'm going to do now I can click on EC2, I can click on IAM. 99% of the tasks that the root user was doing, I can do it from here also. So in fact, because this IAM account, well, I appropriately named this as admin. Okay, you can give any name you want, but it should be something that you remember. Okay, so using this IAM account, I can create 100 other IAM accounts, and to each individual IAM account, I can then, based on the policies I attach. Okay, I will not be giving administrator access. Obviously, in a team, there will be a couple of people who are, depending on the size of the team, 2 or more administrators will always be there. Okay, they will have super user access. So that is the concept here. And that is how we are going to keep using our systems. Like for the remainder of the course, if I have to create an EC2 instance, then I will just very quickly use this. So we're actually running out of time now, and I will have to wrap up this session. So if there is any questions for me, kindly ask so that we can proceed further. And this is what was discussed today.
A quick question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
To secure our root account, we create a multi-factor authentication. Then to secure I, IAM account, we have to create an access key.
No, 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 no. No. Access keys, access keys are required for programmatic access, which means when one software is trying to access another software. This is the example which I had given was Terraform, which is a provisioning tool. So this will be installed locally in your Windows desktop. So using Terraform, you will try to access the AWS console without any graphical user interface. Graphical user interface is referring to this browser. Okay. So at a programmatic level, you will need to access that through code. So that is when you generate access keys. And what I categorically told you is never create access keys using the root account.
Okay.
Okay, your root account should look like this. The IAM dashboard will be there for every account. So for the root account, these two green ticks should be there. Otherwise, your account can be compromised, particularly if you are using weak password. That is what I said. This access keys, if you have to create, you will create using the IAM accounts. Like I'm now logged in as an IAM account user. So here I can go into IAM. So I will show you the section. I'm not going to create it right now. Okay, so see here it is giving me a security recommendation, like to create MFA. All right. So this
Okay.
MFA is different. But what I want to do is security credentials. So that changing password and then creating access keys, all of that falls under security credentials. So give me a second. Screen seems to have frozen up a little bit. So uh, so here security credentials is here. Either you can choose this, or again from the drop down you will get security credentials. So basically they will point to the same page. So here you will have your details. Let it come up. So here you can generate that multi-factor authentication thing. Okay. And then, so this is for the IAM user. And again, you can go through that same process which I've described earlier. The same thing. The process is same. Okay. Might be while I was taking the screenshot, so that was a different time. So maybe there will be a little bit of, I don't know. I've not done it for a period of time. So maybe there will be a little bit of deviation from the screenshot that you are seeing. But more or less the topics, the headers will still be the same. So here you have got these access keys, okay? And here, so this we will use later on, not right now. This is actually used with AWS CLI or pure command line interface. Okay. You have written code to, for example, if I have to create a EC2 instance, I'm using the graphical user interface. I'm using the mouse. In command line interface, you're not going to use the mouse. You're just going to write code and hit enter, run the code. And internally, it will do the same things via code, whatever I'm going to do using my mouse. So that is the time when you will need programmatic access. And that is when you will need access keys. Answers your question?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Okay, we will deal with in the next session, I'm going to deal with the infrastructure for AWS, how it works, because you need to know that before you can create resources, how actually the resources work. So the next class, what we are going to discuss will be related to AWS regions, virtual private networks, availability zones, and quite literally how the AWS data centers and their clusters work. So Well, are there any other questions for me on chat, or maybe if you have anything, just you could unmute and ask. Okay, if we are cool, then what we will do is we will reconvene tomorrow, same time, and then we will continue with the discussion forward. Thank you, everybody, for your time and patience. I hope you have a great day ahead. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.